A very warm welcome, and it is a warm welcome today, surprisingly for this time of the year, to the 2017 Blue Water Series race briefing. I'll just take this opportunity to wish everybody all the best of luck out there and great success. Look forward to being out there with you. I'd like to introduce Tim Cox, who's known to everybody, our race committee chairman, who will take us through the information we need to know before we launch into this series. Thank you, Tim.
Thanks very much, Noel. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This will be brief. I haven't got very much to say. First of all, safety, equipment knowledge is important, and making sure that all crew members know how all the equipment works and where it's stowed, particularly in these races, because you all change the crews at least once or twice before each race. So therefore it's important that everybody knows where it's at. Also, please, extra precautions at night, because if you go over the side at night, the chances of being found are not really all that good. So very, very careful on the safety procedures and making sure everyone's properly briefed and that everybody understands the man overboard procedures in accordance with how your boat's going to carry them out. So safety is one of my paramount concerns. So let me move to the next thing, declarations. I'm changing what's in the sailing instructions because there are recalcitrants here who have failed to get their declarations in on time. Evening, Noel. Nice to see St Jude here leading the push. So we're going to go for 6 hours from your completion time, and if we do that for every race, by the time we get to Hobart, we might get it right. So let's see how we go with that. AEST, please turn them on. It may well save your life, particularly when you're playing around close to harbours and merchant ships. And I'll give you some advice on that from the captain of the merchant ship. So I can give you some advice from having been a captain of a large ship a couple of times and done some time in aircraft carriers of how people in large ships think about yachts and what worries them. So that when you get close to Port Kembla or Botany Bay and somebody asks you to do something, I'll tell you what they expect or what I think they expect. Radios, 4483 005 085 1605, channel 16. I know that HF's not good going down to Flinders Island. There are difficulties with when you're looking at the ground wave coming back over the hills. So if it doesn't work, get on the phone. You've got Justine's number, you've got mine, and we're only too happy to receive a call. I'd like to know where you are. And when you're coming around Hornby Light, a beam Hornby Light is on the harbour side of Hornby Light, not when you're passing Hornby Light going north outside, please. So I'd like you to be in the harbour, Hornby Light, generally speaking on the port beam as you're coming down towards the finish. Okay, so VHF channel 11 within 10 nautical miles of Port Kembla. That is very, very, very important. And it's very important in this race that you have channel 16 on. Now I know you'll all tell me you do, but some of you tell fibs. So for these races, very important that we have channel 16 on because we're going to have trouble otherwise with the harbour authorities. Right, so crew lists. Crew lists for all races, 12 o'clock Friday. So I'd like the final lists, 12 o'clock Friday for all races finalised, please. And please pay attention to the number of radio operators you've got left after you've changed the crew or the number of first aiders, because my bloodhound Justine has returned from holidays and illness and she's right on the trail of those particular provisions. So let me give you a bit about this sort of some of these merchant ships, which are my other concern here. Collisions. Okay, so collisions in merchant ships or warships are really something of negligence, and people don't like them. And recently we've had some quite nasty ones with the US Navy, which you've all read about. But we need to be very careful, particularly in the approaches to the two ports that you're going a route with the races, Port Kembla and when you pass Botany Bay. So you just need to think what people are looking for in the vicinities of those. The concerns for ships' captains are 5 miles. If you're within 5 miles of me and I'm the captain of a ship, I don't like you. And if you're going to come 5 miles and you're going to come in within 2 miles, I like you even less. And I'm always looking for bearing rates. So what they're looking for is a change of bearing rates, and particularly at 2 nautical miles, I like the bearing rate to be moving either left or right. Otherwise, I've got a very difficult situation. Now, for yachts, that's very difficult. But just think about the bearing rate, and I've got to turn my ship, and I might have 1.5 miles before I get onto go through 60 degrees. So it is really quite difficult. So really think about it. And if you are asked to alter course by either of the harbour authorities at Port Kembla or Botany you're passing, please, 60 degrees is what you've got to alter by as a minimum. Otherwise, they can't see it. So you've really got to change it and preferably put the other side navigation light visible to the ship. Otherwise, ships' captains are very, very nervous peoples. Right, navigation's the other thing going down there. We've had accidents in navigation. I know you're all good at navigation. You all like electronic systems. Let me tell you, they're inaccurate. All of the electronic systems that you've got are not up to speed. They're good to about 1/2 mile, unless you've got differential GPS, which is expensive, and none of you have got it because it's a military. The reason you haven't got it is people use it for targeting. So if anyone's firing anything in any part of the world, then GPS has got some errors in it, and ring Mr. Trump. GPS down off Port Kembla is good to plus or minus 200 metres. The chart off Port Kembla is good to plus or minus 50 metres. The last time the hydrographer was down at Port Kembla was 2013, and he was probably only there for lunch. So the charts in those areas and up north around islands, when you go around up islands up north, just think about when the last time they were there and how accurate it is. So please be very careful when you go close inshore, and please look at the paper charts. The paper charts are much more accurate than your electronic systems. And as a rule of thumb, if you're going to be 2 miles offshore and you're doing 12 knots off the rocks, then I suggest you look at the charts every 2.5 minutes, because otherwise you're going to find you might have a nasty experience, and grounding is not good. So that's all I've got to say about merchant ships, and that's all I've got to say about the safety of this particular race. So I've mentioned the radio skeds and the times. The frequency is 4483, and please, if you miss out on the sked, don't forget to call me by telephone, and don't forget the declarations. Noel, 6 hours would be really good, and channel 11 when you're within 10 miles of Port Kembla. It's in the sailing instructions. I don't intend to go through them in detail. Those are the bits that concern me. Those are the bits that I'm worried about. And 12 o'clock Friday, I want all of the crew lists, and they need to be up to date. If you've got a problem and you can't find somebody, ring Justine. We can often find you an extra medic or a radio operator. Has anyone got any questions? That's good. We're done. Thank you, Noel.